What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We got some serious news here. Take a look at this. And major cuts to Social Security back on the table. And I'll show it to you here in this video. So, UPS workers vote to authorize a strike while cheering unexpected progress on heat safety. The decision, with 97% of ballots in favors, clears the way for a potential work stoppage as soon as August 1st, just a little bit about a month away from now. Comes days after a tentative deal on new cooling measures that workers hailed as a big step forward in contract talks.
Hundreds of thousands of UPS workers are now voting on whether to authorize a strike that could.
This could be serious, especially because the West Coast ports, with the significant worker shortage problem they're having there's a tentative deal there, but we've seen those type of deals fall through in the past, especially with the railroad workers. Remember, before they had a tentative deal and then that fell through, and then there were significant problems there yet again. Take a listen to how this could affect the entire country. And they actually had a strike 25 years ago when the company was half the size. Take a listen here.
Hundreds of thousands of UPS workers are now voting on whether to authorize a strike that could put the brakes on the world's biggest package courier. CNN's Vanessa Yurkovich explains what's behind the move and what it could mean going forward.
Bianca, voting is underway for 340,000 UPS workers on whether to authorize a strike if their union, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and UPS cannot come up with a new contract by August 1st. The strike authorization is expected to pass and is common during these types of negotiations. It does not mean a strike is inevitable, and the two sides are continuing to negotiate this week. Now, voting is happening in person, both at local union halls and at the gates of UPS facilities, and the results will be announced on June 16th. A nationwide UPS strike would be the largest work stoppage in U.S. history. The union represents more than half of UPS's total global employee base, which includes drivers and package sorters. Millions of Americans rely on UPS for their deliveries, including to stores, factories, and offices. And at the heart of the negotiations for the union is improved pay and benefits and better working conditions, including adding air conditioning in the panel trucks used for UPS deliveries, which the union says poses a health risk for drivers. Now, the two sides have been negotiating since April, and UPS has said they are committed to coming up with an agreement before that August 1st deadline.
And major cuts to Social Security back on the table. And I'll show it to you here in this video. Wow, I didn't know those vehicles didn't have air conditioning. And you got to think, in the summer, no matter what state you're in, it can get pretty hot in the 90s or even in the hundreds, depending on where you are. You got to think states like Texas, Florida, the heat can be unbearable. Imagine, they got to run to each house or, walk to each house in the 90s and the hundreds, no air conditioning. It's got to be brutal for those guys. Wow. And thousands of people, that's pretty brutal. And let me know your thoughts here. Also, take a look at this. Major cuts to Social Security are back on the table. What's being proposed now? And honestly, this is a cut. And there are going to be some changes that are going to have to happen to Social Security. As the newest CBO report, Congressional Budget Office report, says that Social Security could run out of money in as early as 9 years. And if they don't do anything, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And what will happen is if Social Security completely depletes the money that they have, they'll only be able to pay out the money that comes in on a monthly basis. And we've had multiple senators say it, Republican senators and Democratic senators, or congressmen, House Representatives as well, that would lead to a 24% reduction to Social Security benefits. So We don't want to see that happen. So they're going to have to make changes to Social Security before that happens. Congress has known this for years. This is why they raised the retirement age to Social Security once already. There's several options. Here's the latest one they're talking about. Remember, if they do nothing, if they just leave Social Security alone, we're looking at a potential 24% reduction to everybody's Social Security payments as they are now. So if they just leave Social Security alone and say, don't do anything, your Social Security check could be reduced by 24%. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably seen Republican and Democratic senators say this. So they have to do something. They can't just leave it alone. They can't do that. It will run out of money in the near future, in less than 10 years. Here's the latest thing they're talking about. Major cuts to Social Security are back on the table. Here's what's being proposed now. A group of Republican lawmakers aims to balance the federal budget and slash government spending by targeting programs like Social Security. And some seniors could see a major reduction in lifetime benefits if the plan makes it into law. The proposal was unveiled June 14th by House conservatives, House Republicans, Bloomberg has reported. One of its main features is to raise the full retirement age, FRA, at which seniors are entitled to full benefits they are due. This is something that they have already done once. They've already raised the Social Security full retirement age, and this is something they might do again, or maybe are looking to do again, to help shore up Social Security funds, to help it keep it solid. The 176-member House Republican Study Committee approved a fiscal blueprint that would gradually increase the full retirement age to 69 years old for seniors who turn 62 in 2033, so in 10 years. The current full retirement age is 66 or 67, depending on your birth year. For all Americans born in 1960 or later, the full retirement age is 67. So basically, they're looking at increasing the full retirement age up to 69, up from 66 or 67. So increasing the full retirement age by 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years. As Bloomberg noted, workers expecting an earlier retirement benefit will not see it earlier. And this is technically a cut. Make no mistake. As Bloomberg noted, workers expecting earlier retirement benefits will see lifetime payouts reduced if their full retirement age is raised. Those payouts could be drastically reduced for seniors who claim benefits at age 62 when you are first eligible. Lawmakers on both sides of the political aisle have been working to come up with a fix for Social Security before the program's Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund runs out of money. That could happen within the next decade or so. When it does, Social Security will be solely reliant on payroll taxes for funding, and those taxes would only cover about 77% of current benefits, leading to a 23 to 24% reduction in payout. While most Democrats want to boost Social Security through higher payroll taxes or reductions to benefits for wealthy Americans, the GOP Republicans have largely focused on paring down or privatizing the program. As previously reported, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy recently told Fox News that this month's debt limit bill was only the first step in broader Republican agenda that includes further cuts. McCarthy said, this isn't the end. This doesn't solve all problems. We only got to look at 11% of the budget to find cuts. We have got to look at the entire budget for more cuts. The majority driver of the budget is mandatory spending. It's Medicare, Social Security, and it's interest on the debt. As Bloomberg noted, Republicans argue that failing to change Social Security could lead to a 23% benefit cut once the trust is depleted. Raising the retirement age is one way to soften the immediate impact. The RSC said its proposal would balance the federal budget in 7 years by cutting some $16 trillion in spending and $5 trillion in taxes. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, or if this is the first video you've ever seen from me, I've been following this for a while. Trust me, I want to get my Social Security benefits too. I've been paying Social Security since my first job was 14 years old. I'm 42 now. So yeah, I want to get my benefits. I'm sure you do too. And this is a problem, okay? They've already raised the retirement age once. They just raised it in France. People were actually gathering in the streets, voicing their concerns because they're not happy. You might not be happy either as well, but there's multiple governments and countries all around the world dealing with the same issue, and that people are living longer. They're taking benefits longer. It's a fact now that people are living longer than they were 100 years ago when Social Security was created. Also, when Social Security was created 100 years ago, Social Security was just a brand new program, and they didn't even know how it was going to work. And literally, they're making tweaks to the program to figure it out. And you know, no program's perfect, and they're now trying to make it last forever, and they have to make adjustments along the way. So, I mean, if I was in Congress, it doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or whoever. The program is losing money little by little. They've known this for decades, and they have to fix it one way or another. The proposals on the table are there's only a handful of them. Raise the retirement age, raise taxes on people paying into the system, change the way the investments work, because right now they're basically only invested in U.S. Treasuries, which is it's a low-paying, safe investment that was heavily affected by the interest rates rising here. It didn't do very well at all when interest rates rise. Okay, and the problem is that like the stock and bond market outperforms it consistently over the long run. Okay, so if it was invested in the stock and bond market, it would actually make more consistently over the long term, almost assuredly over the long run. Okay, you know, over the short term, yes, it's stock, and I'll show you this here. Here's the Dow Jones Industrial Stock Market Index, okay, which has been, you know, around for quite some time. But this is a 30-year chart or so. And going back to 1990, it was 3,300 is what the index was worth, one share. Now it's worth 34,000. Okay, so it's worth considerably more, a little bit over 10 times as much. And I talked about how it pretty much goes up at about a 45-degree angle over time. And this includes, you know, the drop of, you know, all the different things. And this is as far back as the chart will go. But if it would go back farther, you would see the same thing. You would see the drop of World War I, the drop of World War II. You can see the pandemic drop here of COVID, of when it first started, you know, back in 2020. You see how much it dropped here. It actually dropped like, it was like 40% or something here, and how it bounced back quickly. And you could see all the different drops here. The 2008, 2009 financial crisis here. It actually took like over a year or so to come back here. And again, throughout this time frame, the stock market has gone up 10x here, okay? So when you look at that, if you had just left your money in there, your money is 10x. So if you put $10,000 in there for retirement, it's now worth over $100,000. Or if you just saved money for retirement and over the course of 30 years, you saved $100,000, which really would be, you know, $10 a day or something like that. Is, you know, it's whatever, right? A little bit over time, you now have over $1 million, because again, it multiplies over time, right? And this is how people save for retirement, right? Because this is a 10xer, okay? And this is through all the drops. This is through the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. This is through this, the pandemic drop. This is through all the drops and the 1987 crash and World War I and World War II and all the financial panics, right? It still was a 10-bagger just in the last 30 years, right? So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country and around the world on a daily basis. So if you haven't yet, subscribe down below, click the bell icon, and I'll keep you up to date here. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Here's some videos you should watch next. Russian President Putin says that there will be a U.S. nuclear strike in this video. And the Fed admits that there are banks, more of them, about to crash. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.